Was the video from the jail cell of Jeffrey Epstein altered? Was he unalived? Was this to protect a ring of really rich, bad people? Is the Epstein files the first big crack in the MAGA wall? What does Don Bongino know? What does Pam Bondi know? Let's look into all that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Thank you for liking, watching, commenting on the videos, sharing the videos, promoting the channel on your social media platforms. It's all greatly, greatly appreciated, and it has not gone unnoticed. If you've donated money to the channel through the Super Thanks, Buy Me a Coffee, Venmo, a huge, huge thank you. So there's some evidence to suggest that the prison tape around Epstein's death was altered. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but with that being said, I have done prior readings on was he unalived, and the answer has always seemed to be yes. And was this to protect a ring of really rich, bad people? And is the Epstein files the first big crack in the MAGA wall? Don Bongino, for example, still mad about it. What does he know that we don't? And what did Pam Bondi know? Let's look into all of that. So let's start with the prison tape. So was the prison tape altered? What do we need to know about this prison tape? Looked like it had gone through some Adobe Pro editing. It had several different source codes. At least this is what's going around on the internet. No reason to believe that that's not true. So what do we need to know about this? What do we need to know about the Epstein tapes or the Epstein prison tape? I was a Freudian slip, by the way, Epstein tapes, because I do think there are some, as we've discussed in the past. What do we need to know about this prison tape? Was it altered? Was the pardon of Eric Adams somehow, I guess he wasn't pardoned, but the charges dropped? Was his connections used somehow? It all this kind of, these questions are just, they're too much. Yeah, I mean, if one plan doesn't work, try another, the Eight of Pentacles, right? It wasn't just enough to maybe take care of business, which we'll probably should have started with that question first, but yeah, deceit, deception, dishonesty, the Seven of Swords. It can't really be much more clear that it is altered. It was done in isolation. Um, wouldn't be surprised if there was only one person that knew about it. We get the Empress. This is interesting. Does Russia know it was altered? Did Russia have a copy of it before anybody else? Definitely in exchange for some money or something of value. That's at the center of the reading. That's why it was done. Where did it happen? It happened in prison. And the people that did it are also fearful of confinement. And the people that had it done, which are not the people who did it, are fearing confinement. We get the Four of Swords. This makes me think, Epstein's brother has always said that there's something weird there. The Four of Swords being here makes me wonder if he wasn't somehow slightly sedated in a way that allowed this to happen. Um, Here's our ring of bad people. I think the Three of Pentacles circles of support around money. And we get logic and truth. So If one plan doesn't work, we have to try another. And we're willing to exchange money to hide what? To hide the truth. I think, some sick people were behind it, but the person who actually altered the tape was paid by the sick people and worked pretty much in isolation or in a very small group. That's why it's not really come public. It's all about deceit and deception about what was going on in the prison, paid for by people with lots of money, possibly even somebody inside Russia that had infiltrated this ring to gain access to the blackmail. So, yeah, underneath partnerships and a new beginning and then justice. So, yeah, it does seem that the tape was altered. Okay, so was he unalived? We'll read on this again, but was he unalived? Was Epstein unalived? Was Epstein unalive? I mean, I've always felt that he was, and I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. He's definitely dead. The idea that he's still alive is just, it's not the case. Yeah. He was too much of a liability. Mhm. King of Pentacles, we all know who that is. So the felon making an appearance here. The card for the presidency and abuse of power, the emperor. This did happen while the felon was president. Choices had to be made. The courts and the environment around. This was the fear. Things start going through the court system. Information starts being filed. Discovery happens. The defense introduces things that the government maybe didn't even know about this ring of people. Things start to go really haywire at that point. A ring of really rich people, the Three of Pentacles, circles of support around money. There wasn't just one person that wanted this done, there were several that wanted this done. And the star card, why did they want it done? They wanted to protect themselves. This prosecutorial type energy of the Queen of Wands was the threat. That's why they had to make the choice to do it. They had many different options of how to do it. They decided to try to do it, or they did it in the way that they did it, to send a message. And then, Jean-Luc Brunel, who we also did a reading on several months ago, died in a very similar way and was tied to Epstein as well. And the end of a cycle. So the felon in his ring of support put an end to the cycle, the end of the person knowing. Prosecutors and attorneys in general were a threat to the people with money, so they had to make choices. Why did they do it? They did it to protect themselves. They had several different ways that they could do it. There's also a card with drugs, so it wouldn't surprise me if they were doing things to make it easier for this to happen along those lines. Why they couldn't have things go through the court system that would have revealed too much. And so some strings were pulled to abuse power. For entertainment purposes only, it really would not shock me if Eric Adams is somehow in this picture. They needed freedom. This is not coincidental that this card is popping up. How did they get freedom? They got freedom by the hanged man. And here we'll take like kind of a literal definition of this. And this was their wish fulfilled. But now things are coming to the surface. Why? There's somebody in the camp that wants to talk. So this could get very interesting very quickly. So was he unalived? Yeah, I'm not changing my opinion on that. I think that's true. Um, was this to protect a ring of really, really rich bad people? I think the cards have already answered that question, so I don't think we need to ask that again. So moving on to um, is this a big crack in the MAGA wall? What does Don Bongino know? Let's ask that question first. And let's ask what Bondi knows, and then we'll ask, like, is this crack? So Bongino's talked about resigning in protest. When I first read that, I thought, oh, he'll chicken out with the rest of them. He'll fall into line. We'll see. That was my first instinct. But what does he know? What does Virginia know? I'm probably not saying his name right, but that's okay. He knows about the exchange of money. That's what he knows about. He knows money exchanged hands in relationship to something to do with Epstein. He knows about the cover up, and he doesn't want to be a part of it. He knows really rich people were involved, Nine of Pentacles, and he knows which choices they made to try to cover this up. He knows a lot. He's gotten messages from people. Not sure what his sources are. It could be people within the DOJ that have seen the files. Like I said, there's always holdovers from administration to administration. They can't fire everybody and replace them that quickly. So, um, and at the center of the reading is the King of Swords, logic and truth. He's kind of pieced it together. And the Seven of Cups. And here I'm going to take a non-literal definition here. He knows that Epstein was made to go swim with the fishes, so to speak. He knows that as well. The Four of Pentacles. He knows if he doesn't speak out, they're going to get away with it. The stability's there. Or that's what he thinks. I don't know that that's entirely true. There are people behind the scenes doing things, the High Priestess. And in this deck, the High Priestess, I had to cover the nudity, but kind of gives off this kind of salacious feel. So he knows kind of all the salacious details. And he knows about the circles of support around it. So he knows money exchanged hands to cover up the truth, and that the people that did it are now celebrating, thinking that they're getting away with it. Currently, the situation is stable if he does nothing. So he feels like if he doesn't say anything, it'll never come out. I'm not sure that that's true, by the way. But he also knows that the choices that they made, he knows about how Epstein left the planet. He knows the behind the scenes details. He received it from somebody that the DOJ already knew a lot of this stuff, and he just received it from inside it. And he knows that it involves a lot of really rich people. Not just one, but it definitely involves the one that we were thinking about. Um, Unfortunately, it feels like he's kind of on his own here with the hermit card. He's taking a chance with his faiths, but I think just because it would raise so many questions, I do think physically he's safe right now, but um, it does make me wonder a little bit about that. Okay, so what does Bondi know? I just wonder if she wasn't threatened. And not threatened by being fired, but by like physically threatened. What does Bondi know? And was she physically threatened? Well, the Ace of Wands and the Two Pentacles. She's juggling a lot, and the Ace of Wands firing new leadership. Kind of influencing the DOJ the way that it used to not be. It used to be independent. It's not anymore. With Bondi, no. This Bondi, no. She knows about the sick people, the Four of Swords. She knows enough that could land people in prison, the Eight of Swords. She knows the Page of Wands, her firing messages. We'll see what that means when we get down here, but yeah, she knows how to bring things to the surface if she wants to. I don't think the felon realized how much the DOJ knew. We get victory at the center of the reading. I don't think this initially was her plan. I think her initial plan was to start to go after some of these people, but then it kind of became clear that they couldn't do it without entangling the felon. She also knows that it's inevitable that all the stuff is going to come out because it involves so much overseas stuff. So she's hoping another government will bring the case out. Not a lot of it didn't take place in the United States. It involved a lot of US citizens, for entertainment purposes only, the felon, for example. It also involved people, foreign people as well. And so I think she's hoping that, they'll take care of it. She does something quite explosive. I mean, and there's a spy in the camp. She knows that too. So maybe that's kind of okay. And the King of Pentacles. So she knows that there's sick people. I think she believes victory is coming. And that means actually the felon losing. The really explosive situation is victory for the people and the victims. And it'll come in the way of a fiery message. She has enough information that she could bring charges, probably. She's hoping that another country will do it instead, that things will come to the surface with the moon card. It's a very volatile situation. And that there's somebody that knows a lot already that might be willing to release it to a foreign government that could actually have jurisdiction, but couldn't touch the felon, right? So the Wheel of Fortune, I think Russia's I think Russia had somebody inside the ring of Epstein. Michael Wolff said Epstein talked to Putin, um, but the case is quite strong. If one plan doesn't work, try another. And eventually there's going to be an end to this dark cycle, and it will involve the courts. So, I mean, justice is coming. It is. Now, unfortunately, I think it happens after the felon passes. And I've said that for a long time. So, okay, so is this the first big crack in the MAGA wall? Is this like a really defining dividing line? I always said that the information that would divide MAGA would have to do with this issue. I've said it forever, that the information that comes out that makes people turn on the felon has to do with young children or young teenagers or whatever you want to call it, crimes against young people. Um, you can go back many months. I've said this for many months. And I always said that whatever Putin has on him, and maybe even what Musk has on him, it's worse than you can possibly imagine. It's not, a random snapshot. It's something that's probably in video form. I think this is why they passed that deep fake porn legislation to make deep fake porn illegal so that they can claim that this is what this will be when it comes out. Of course, it's not, it's abuse, not pornography, but um, for entertainment purposes only. Okay, is this a big crack in MAGA's wall? It's a big crack in MAGA's wall. I don't think it's a big crack yet, but I think there's one of two things that happens is Virginio, either shuts up or he keeps talking. If he keeps talking, I think the crack gets bigger. I think some people have already made the decision that they need new leadership, whether that means getting rid of Pam Bondi or if it means um, that they're no longer happy with the felon being in charge. A lot of people feel betrayed. The Knight of Swords. I don't think this is going away. I think it's going to keep moving forward, full steam ahead. You know, Russia's a tricky creature, right? They will play both sides of everything, and they're probably fueling the this becoming public and creating the split in MAGA, while at the same time they were part of helping to gather the information by having people on the inside of these horrible rings. So yeah, things going on behind the scenes we can't see. There's a lot of discussions going on. The Queen of Cups is the center of the reading. People are empathetic to the plights of young children. They just are, which is a good thing. Even MAGA is. So that's why I've always said if once this comes out, it's over for the felon. Although I think he's passed, but like the following of him, it'll be over. People will be ashamed by it, by their following him. The emperor, the abuse of power, people don't like it. People don't like that they're not releasing the reports in the hermit card. Right now, it's just a few people that are causing the crack, but it'll be more. The Wheel of Fortune, it's just a matter of time. And justice is coming. So they want a new attorney general. I don't know that they get one, but they know that people will relate to this issue and want justice. And they don't care that it involves the felon at this point because the felon has been doing things that they don't like anyhow. So, currently it's just a few people, but trust Russia to make it grow into more. They will. Things will start moving quickly. Abuses of power will be exposed. The sins here, I'm going to read the Wheel of Fortune as the sins because it's gambling in the middle of the card. And things behind the scenes ultimately are what cause the big ruptures to happen. Underneath, we have it's inevitable. It's going to cause a wound. It'll be a huge crossroads, the Two of Wands, and the Democrats will pursue this, and people will ultimately end up going to prison with the Eight of Swords. And it'll be heartbreaking for the entire world to discover with the Three of Swords. So it's all starting to unfold exactly as we predicted. So, yeah, sad stories ultimately underneath all of this, but let's hope that justice comes. So, thank you for watching. I'll be back with another video soon.